to this really fucking late edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast. Featuring our discussion of AMC's Better Call Saul, episode 5 of the 3rd season, entitled Chicanery. A couple of quick bits of information before we get into it. You can check out all of our content at our website, www.boobtubebuddies.com. You can also follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit, or just email us at boobtubebuddies@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. It is honest to God what makes this worthwhile. We all end up on our Slack chat, like going over the messages people send in. So we absolutely love it. Please write in. But let's go ahead and get to it. My name is Foxman, and I'm joined by the Slippin' Jimmy to my Jimmy Hustle. What up, Giblets?
Not much, buddy. Just really excited to get back in the swing of my normal life and get this podcast underway.
What's that you said? Air out your grievances? Okay, so it is Thursday night, and we're just recording our Monday night podcast. The reason this week is not the flu. It's not tooth issues.
Not skin knees.
But how many hours did you work over the last 4 days?
Last 4 days, I put in roughly 58.
But with drive time.
It's
like 64, 65. That's pretty crazy for 4 days.
Yeah, it was like 14, 15 hours a day.
All right, so I'll give you a pass this one time. Next time, you're voted off the island.
I feel you. Also, let me just throw this out there that I'm bordering on zero sleep as well. I still haven't gone to bed since all that shit, so I'm not going to be as sharply witted as, you know, the listeners have come to expect.
Oh, man, which is already a very low bar. So, just real quick, we have American Gods and Sense8 just started. We just put out a Guardians of the Galaxy episode, which Jables did it.
To be fair, the more I listened back on it, I realized how ridiculous it was.
I mean, because what would have made sense would have been, hooked on a feeling, not Guardians of the Galaxy.
And the way it was recorded was just so in your face too. Like, it was way louder than the backing.
Oh, for sure.
It was just so way too hardcore.
The part that I didn't even think about when I first listened to it is Mike's like, because I showed it to him, I'm like, isn't that silly you chose that song? He's like, I don't understand why he says, my name is Groot in the beginning. Like, the song literally starts with the line he does not say.
It's Groot.
Okay.
I changed, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into Better Call Saul. It's already late. We don't need to make the people wait around any longer. So let's get to our first segment. It's 140 characters or less used to summarize the entire episode. A little segment we like to call Summon It Up in a Tweet.
Oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up. Summon it up, oh yeah, we're summon it up. Oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up. Summon it up and up.
Tweet.
We're in luck. It's Jimmy
Whoa.
Chuck.
You're not even, that is the harshest lead-in I've ever heard in my entire
I thought you
life.
said you were going to edit in post-production.
I just said nothing of this sort.
I forgot. Alright, see, this is what I was talking about earlier, everybody.
Okay, so say something funny and then do your Summon It Up in a Tweet.
You know, I'm good with Johnny on the spot, so knock knock.
Who's there?
I don't really have it.
Okay, alright. Okay, go ahead and read it now.
Alright. That was funny enough.
Yeah, that was good.
We're in luck. It's Jimmy versus Chuck. Rebecca witnesses the muck as Jimmy makes his brother look like a schmuck. Hashtag Kim's hot as fuck.
Oh, I will say the uck is pretty much the exact rhyme scheme I finished off with. But it starts with a different one. So, Trial of the Century. Chucky Fuckface and Jimmy McG. Chuck tricked Jimmy, now Jimmy tricked Chuck. Suck my dicky, Chuck's out of luck. And that is Summon It Up in a Tweet.
Summon it up in a tweet. Summon it up in a tweet.
Alright, what'd you think, buddy?
Your poetic prowess... I can't think of anything else with a P, but it impresses me.
I can't think of anything else with a P. You literally teapotted me for some reason, like the fist on the waist.
Better than teabagging.
Okay, so anyway, they've listened to our fucking Johnny and the Deuce shit long enough. Let's go ahead and get into it. So what did you think about this episode, scale of 1 to 10?
Scale of 1 to 10. I want to give it... I gotta give it at least an 8.
Okay.
Because it was obviously a slow fucking burn.
Yeah.
That was so fucking worth the scorch at the end.
Agreed. I'm gonna give it an 8.5. The only thing, honestly, that drags it back down for me is that, unfortunately, we miss out on my favorite characters, really,
Yes,
in this
exactly.
episode.
It was just a little bit Mike shy.
Yeah.
And now that Gus is here, I really was looking forward to seeing
That's
some more
exactly it
Gus.
for me. But as far as, like, straight Jimmy plot lines
Fucking
go...
perfect.
Yeah, it was
I loved
honestly
it so much.
tremendous. So, okay. It starts off basically with... well, you can tell it's in the past because it's kind of got that blue light special to it.
Yeah, even I got that it was in the past.
Did you?
I did.
Because you were like the ultimate terrible time traveling viewer.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
But okay, so yeah, it starts out and essentially Chuck's ex-wife comes back. She's been on a tour all around the world, and they're gonna have a little dinner. But there's this ruse going on where he's pretending like the lights just went out and shit like that. What did you think about the whole scene, the way everything was set up? And
I liked it. At the very, very beginning, I was kind of confused because this was very similar to a scene we'd seen before when she was first meeting Jimmy.
Yes.
Remember they came over for
Yep.
a little dinner party and everything else.
there was electricity in the
there was
house.
electricity. That's why I was like, well, what's going on here? And he was
Yeah.
saying, it's crazy he was still wearing the ring, though, up until right before she came over. And it was crazy that Jimmy says he's the one saying, basically warning him about a lie too big and
Yes.
to play it clean for a change.
And I mean, if you're going to take advice from anybody about lying, Slippin' Jimmy is the guy you want to listen
Exactly.
to. Like, this is a guy who keeps his lies straight.
Yes, he has all his crooked
Yes.
ducks in a row.
Slippin' Jables, right?
Totally.
So true. But anyway, so her phone ends up ringing, and I love that.
Oh, God.
Like, she just keeps wandering back. And honestly, while he is kind of right about it being rude, but less from what he's saying and more the fact that she takes the call and is loudly talking, pacing around the room.
Yes.
If you're going to take a call like that, you wander into the other room. You
Exactly.
don't follow the person around the house as you're doing it. It was very, very rude.
It was very rude, but definitely not warranted that he snatched it out of her ear and threw it on the ground.
Bitch, please. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And the look on her
touch too
face
much.
was like,
Yeah, the first time they'd seen each other in so long, she's like, fucking made the right decision.
yeah, exactly. And she wanted, Jimmy wants Chuck to come clean about it. He doesn't. And she walks out of his life. Obviously not for good, but it might as well be for how much time has elapsed since.
Right, and I did love that he said, you know, you will not fucking tell her. Like, it was the worst thing that he could do to Chuck is to tell Rebecca about his condition.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I guess that this kind of sets up what all plays out in the courtroom at the end. And honestly, so much of the episode does. Like, even the next scene it goes to is him visiting the veterinarian, and we have a lot of funny fish talk, which I am a
Yes.
saltwater aquarium enthusiast.
I thought of you.
I don't even know if I've ever said that on the podcast before, but I mean, we're literally recording next to a 30-gallon tank that I have to turn off the pump for because it's so goddamn loud.
And almost caught fire that one time.
And it almost caught fire one time when we were podcasting. That's a true story. Weird that a hobby that involves salt and water and electricity all in a confined space. Weird if that could lead to fire and hazards.
That is true.
Anyway, so he essentially, I guess this is probably how he gets paired up with Huel at the end. Which, by the way, Huel, you know who Huel, I think it's Babineau. Are you kidding me?
It's like you're talking
You were the white
Chinese
Huel Babineau.
to me. What
Which character in this episode looks like you but isn't white?
landslide?
Why do you call him Landslide?
Because assuming you're talking about the guy that planted the battery.
Yeah.
He plays a stand-up comic
it's-
on Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's right. Yes, in the episode where
It's
D makes it
landslide,
big.
bitch.
Yeah. That's right. Okay.
Weird
yeah.
if I know that.
Yeah, of course. You recognize him from the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's the one who's with Billy Freckletits, Bill Burr. He's like his partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So man, he really slimmed down. Could you tell?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
a lot smaller.
Like
than
he looked like he dropped 100 pounds.
Yeah, I'd say probably around 100 pounds. 'cause
Yeah.
he was fucking huge before.
Good for him. I mean, I think his name's Lavelle or something like that. His real name. That's that's awesome that he lost that weight.
He must have actually kept riding with his buddy at night rather than...
I have been riding my bike every night this week, just singing out like, I'm Ron Reed.
Oh, no.
Because my buddy is just fucking Johnny Never There. But anyway, I thought it actually worked to the advantage of this being in the past, because Huel looks so much younger having lost 100 pounds.
He really does. Good call.
Yeah, so anyway, so it sets that up. But then we get Kim is at the courthouse, and she's meeting with the Mesa Verde people. Now, did you think that it was the right move for her to have done to, like, the preemptive strike of...
I think it was a Kim move.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it, but I wouldn't do most things the way Kim does.
Yeah, but Kim probably does... If you averaged out the moves that Kim makes over a lifetime versus the moves that you or any other type of slipping character would do, I mean, we see what happens with even somebody as clever at it as Saul. Eventually, like, the curtain just falls down and you're left standing behind it naked.
I would be so happy to work at a Cinnabon. You have no idea.
Yeah, you would be happy just licking up all that hot
man
fucking jizz.
I hope people just know the references and not just thinking we're homosexuals talking about our fantasies.
It's a Louis C.K. thing. Okay, so, but yeah, she does. She just flat out tells them. They are very understanding. I will say after the dude leaves, her friend is like, so you got this under control, right?
Woman's intuition.
Yeah, and I think Kim should have said, I've insulated us as good as anybody could, or something like leave it at least a little, because she was already so honest. Like, you might as well, like, stick with it. Like,
she literally said they're not involved in any way, shape, or form, and that's not exactly true.
No, and to be fair, it might be like second or third hand connections, but they are
still some kind of
absolutely
Kevin Bacon leak.
And honestly, I do feel like it is obvious enough what that link is to where they should be aware that there is at least some link.
And like you said, especially if she's going to go to the trouble to swallow that pill and preemptively say that to
just
them.
say I've taken every step that I can to insulate us from it. That's it.
I do feel like they show that part because it's obviously going to come back to haunt her.
Because there is a reason that Kim Wexler is not part of Breaking Bad, and we have yet to see what that shoe is going to be when it drops.
And he's already done so much fucking up shit. I'm sure it's got to be something bigger, like fucking with her career.
Yes.
To actually
making her move back to whatever small town she came from or something along those lines. Right. But okay, so when Chuck enters the courtroom for the first time, they got the lights out. The only things that are on are the exit signs, and basically they talk for a second about all the concessions that are being made by the court to accommodate his illness, which I love that this whole thing stands on the fact of Jimmy recognizing, so he's known all along, that this is absolute horseshit. This is like a placebo illness that he has. It's literally just psychosomatic.
Which I've been 100% on board since day one. You actually shamed me for making fun of his when I quoted condition, because you said I wasn't sympathetic to those people out there.
Okay, that is true, but it is a dangerous thing to just lay blanket statements across an entire, like, faction of illness by saying that it's psychosomatic, because honestly, that's the exact same rationalization that people use to say that gay people are just, like, that they, like, make themselves that way.
Wait, they don't?
Oh my god.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. You're a super.
Thanks for asking.
Okay, so actually I think that this might be a good time to cut over. Which one do you want to do? Two truths or jib jabs? Say it. 1, 2, 3.
Jib jab. Ladies and gentlemen, Jib Jab with Jables.
All right.
You little fucker.
At the embarrassment of all those negative online YouTubers yelling at my shitty voice and my shitty lyrics and everything else.
What he's talking about is we had one person write in something to the effect on YouTube of how they were really loving the episode until your song started.
You saying it just makes me want to walk away. So, anyway.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is that the one they were talking about?
Nope.
Okay, because I would have understood that one.
No, yeah.
Fuck them. Anyway, so I'm definitely not doing a musical bit, probably ever again, but definitely not tonight.
If you guys want it, I'm not even going to throw it out there because nobody's going to write in. Don't worry, buddy. I'll create a fake account online.
Please do.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Nanners, where have you gone?
She's betrayed me. I mean, anyway, so I've got a little pop quiz game show in the making. And, you know, as we love to do, loser has a little penalty. So I figured next week's Jib Jab, like on the Walking Dead podcast, if you get more than half of these right, you can assign me any kind of task.
Okay, gotcha. And vice versa. Okay, how many questions are there?
There's 10.
Okay, what about a 5-5 split?
I have a tiebreaker for a 5-5.
No, that's not fair. Audience writes in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. This game is basically called Who Said It? Saul Goodman or Sleazy Lawyer?
Oh, man.
And these are actual quotes that either Saul Goodman said in some of the episodes, so you should be able to know, or that were actually made by a government lawyer, I should point out. Alrighty? First quote. The complaint is what I call a masterpiece of deception.
Government lawyer.
Government lawyer. One for Fox. Number 2. If you're committed enough, you can make any story work. I once told a woman I was Kevin Costner, and it worked.
That's all.
God damn it.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remembered it too as I was writing it. People are not found innocent. They are found not guilty.
Government lawyer.
3 for 3.
This is going really well.
Yeah, this is a good time. Don't drink and drive, but if you do, call me.
Saul.
I even tried to look at you to throw you off course and make you think, because I didn't realize how fucking easy this is going to be. If you make money on motor vehicle seizures, it's okay. Don't feel bad.
Government lawyer.
Yes.
I might get a fucking gentleman sweep here.
I don't like it. If in doubt, take it.
That is the shittiest goddamn quote ever. Are you leaving part of it off?
No, if in doubt, ... take it.
Saul.
No.
That's the worst quote ever.
Yes.
That's like saying the.
It's like saying my name is Groot.
Yeah. My name is Groot.
Who can I sue?
Government lawyer.
Nope. Ooh, I'm having a comeback.
Is it 5-2 right now?
5-2.
So I gotta miss the next 3. Okay.
We could be... Sorry. We could be...
Heroes.
All right, that was good. We could be czars. We could own this city.
Saul.
Nope.
Oh, man.
Government lawyer.
2 more?
I'm so excited. Okay. Oh, fuck, this is... All right. What's theirs is yours.
Saul?
Nope.
Oh, man.
Oh,
that was tricky. The delivery was tricky.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, that was good.
Clearly, his taste in women is the same as his taste in lawyers. Only the very best. With just the right amount of dirty.
Government lawyer.
It's all! Oh, yeah!
First 5 right, next 5 wrong!
Fucking crazy.
Wow. Okay, so
right,
listeners, you write in, you figure out who is doing the challenge and what challenge that will be.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
No fake accounts.
I swear to God, I
Just for
promise.
this. For boosting my ego musically.
Well,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
that goes without saying.
Okay.
Yeah, how do you think we get all our iTunes reviews?
Oh.
But okay, that is fucking exciting, man. Good quiz.
Yeah, good delivery with it. I had pretty much conceded halfway through.
Wow.
Boom.
Oh my God, what a fucking flame out.
It was crazy. What's funny is when I was, said, oh man, this is like, I was conceding because you were going to get it because it was so obvious. It was actually my number 9, but I switched it because I realized I had done that. So I did the government one and then swapped it back.
Very fucking slipping Jabel's ass.
Yeah, weird.
Slipping jibbies. So, okay, this is actually a perfect lead-in into our, this is an honest-to-God lawyers ad that we found and that we're including here. So I'm going to throw over to that, and then we'll be right back with the episode.
Need a lawyer? Hire Dick. Hire me, Eric Dick.
Call or text 832-207-2007. Damage total and the insurance company won't pay?
I'll hound them and pound them to get you what you deserve.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get back on track here, and let's talk about the trial itself. So, starts off with Hamlin coming in and giving his testimony, and you know, it starts off him saying these things about when he first started, and what's the nickname you gave him? Charlie Hustle. He's got the best voice because, you know, he's a really handsome guy, but he also has a really cool, dramatic, deep, gravelly voice.
And an awesome tailor.
He does have a nice tailor.
Popping.
Yeah, for sure. He's a cool dude. But anyway, yeah, so we basically talking about how he bootstrapped his way into a law degree from the mailroom without telling anybody. And the reason that they didn't bring him on was the appearance of nepotism. And I love the fucking dig here.
All those deliveries were fucking spot on.
Yeah, she's like, so the name Hamlin and McGill, who's the other Hamlin there? And then he looks at her like knowingly, kind of with almost a smirk, and my father.
Yep. Just having to fucking swallow it.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was a nice little victory.
It
for
was
Kim.
really just a great dig.
I'm sure she was licking her chops on the inside too.
Exactly. But then, of course, you know, she makes the point of who was the actual partner who did not want to bring Jimmy into the fold here. Chuck was the one raising the objections. Right. Not surprising. So they wheel the tape in, and then this is the first time that Jimmy leans back to talk to Francesca and asks her something about the flight, and she says it's 40 minutes delayed. And so now we know that there is some big reveal.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew there was a plan in the works. But
always.
Now we know she's a part of it, and it's becoming to get in motion.
Yeah. So it kicks over to Chuck, who is still at his house at this point, rehearsing his lines, and then he starts comparing himself to Ted Kaczynski, which is the Unabomber's brother, and which is pretty fucking a big leap.
Yeah, and telling of how he actually views Jimmy.
Because you know how that all went down, right, with Ted Kaczynski and then the actual Unabomber?
I know enough to get the relevance, but not like details.
Yeah, because the Unabomber, he was crazy, but you know he'd end up writing all these things that would be in newspapers and things like that, like about all these bombings that he was doing everywhere. And the actually Ted Kaczynski wasn't the one who thought it up. It was Ted Kaczynski's wife was like, this kind of sounds like your brother, because the portrait of who this guy was started coming out of, like, they think it's a loner, he probably lives in the woods, he probably extremely smart and well educated. And then so Ted started looking into it and read this manifesto that had been printed up, and he was like, oh my god, this is my brother. Yeah, so that's that tale. So that is a big goddamn leap.
Jesus.
So yeah, that was pretty insane. But so the tape gets played for the courtroom, and it is really pin drop awkward.
Yes, all their faces. They didn't even really know how to respond.
No, even the panel's like, okay.
Yeah. Which is perfect, because it's how I would have felt sitting there hearing that awkwardness.
Yes. For sure. And right around this point is when Huel Babineau, I just love the name Babineau. I'm going to keep saying it. Huel probably stands by itself, but Babineau is so fucking cool. Lavelle Crawford is his name, but he bumps into Chuck on the way in. Really nice sleight of hand for a guy that big.
Totally.
You know, and then, like, I don't even mean that like as like a cruel thing or even necessarily funny, but I feel like part of sleight of hand is having a slight hand or maybe a slight wrist. But Lavelle Crawford is, I mean, you and I feel like would be too big for something like that.
Maybe he's wearing his old coats, so he has a lot of extra room in the sleeves. Man, just falling flat all day.
Oh,
dude, I'm on no sleep. Come on, all right, move it along.
So the all the lights are turned off and everything like that. They even take the clock out, and Chuck gets on the stand, and he starts talking about the suspected tampering and things like that, and Kim keeps objecting over and over and over, but Chuck knows what he's doing. Like, he's saying just enough to where she can object, but to where it's, you know, it all plays out fine for, like, he is the master of this moment.
He's definitely playing. And what is your take on how they did this whole court scene with your background and everything? Do you think it was believable? Because I thought they were letting way too much shit slide. I feel like definitely at the end when we'll get to.
Oh my God, no! At the end, it was ridiculous.
Okay,
I'll allow it. Like at the end, to me, they're allowing way too much leeway.
I mean, I feel like
in the beginning, I felt okay. You know what? This looks like the actual room that you would have like some sort of arbitration or litigation for something along those lines, like not a massive courtroom. Like this was the perfect setting for it, and
started off right with
and the way the panel was. And to be fair, I've never sat in on like a panel review of like the bar association and things. So I've never sat in on something like that. But yeah, it felt real until the end when of course it started getting very silly.
Yeah, and then when he breaks down, he went on forever. And why the fuck isn't his lawyer stopping that? He just throws in the towel. Well, he's already on a roll. Might as well let him finish his spiel.
At the very least, like. Even if you have nothing else to say, literally stand up and say objection.
Objection, recess, stop fucking talking, anything.
Yeah, because even if you say objection, they say on what grounds, you just say
nothing.
You don't have to say anything else. Yes. Break the spell.
Yes.
Yeah, because, it's just so silly that Jimmy's like, reach into your coat pocket.
I'll allow. I'm intrigued. Go on.
He's like, do you feel anything electric? Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie.
Oh no. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
I'll allow it. It was pretty fucking silly. So Rebecca ends up coming in. That's the ex-wife, and they're talking a little bit about the electromagnetic hypersensitivity, this, and that. And then he's talking about how he doesn't hate Jimmy, but the law, gosh darn it, it's just too important. And if faced with the between Jimmy and the law, well, I've dedicated my entire life to this.
I hold it sacred.
I hold it so sacred. Reach into your pocket, Chuck.
Stop leaning in when you say it. It's skeeving me.
So anyway, Rebecca ends up coming in, and Jimmy has obviously told her about the disease, and Chuck says he didn't want to worry her, and basically she's been sold a bill of goods by Jimmy to come halfway across the world to check on him when he doesn't need help. And the whole time he's talking about play acting and all this stuff.
Yes.
Like I hated that. And like a little bit of theater, play acting, the old flim flam con man, eh? Like the way that he's doing it, it's just like he thinks he's like this cool vaudeville old timey dude. Oh God, it's so horrible. But so they go outside, they're eating snacks at the vending machine, just like we've seen Jimmy do in the courthouse a million times.
Yes.
And come in, and this seemed highly unorthodox. The plaintiff in the case is going to sit there and cross-examine his brother, who is the person that it's against. I'll allow it.
No, actually, I mean, I thought it was a smart move. I mean, I don't know how legal it is, but the fact that he was his own co-counsel.
I understand that. It just all was silly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it could, like in a truth is stranger than fiction thing, that it couldn't happen,
but highly unorthodox.
Highly unorthodox.
To say the least.
And just the shit that they let him get away with is so silly. They're like, did David Blaine come in here? Go on. This is fucking stupid. But actually, you know what? I think that this would be a good time to throw over to our two truths.
Already?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's play a game called
Two truths and one big
Little Lie.
I was gonna do all right, but I already did that joke. So welcome back, people.
You did that last week too.
The welcome back, people.
No, the all right.
Oh shit.
So that's just an every week thing now.
You do it every week. I'm just being you.
Yeah, but that's just me being me.
I always try to be you.
That's true. Okay.
All right. Well, as the
I'll allow it.
the same fucking creep leaning. All right. As the reigning supreme master in Two Truths and One Little Lie.
How much are you up now? It's 2, right? You're up 2.
Up by 2. Yeah.
We don't even have to say like the blank to blank. It's literally just you're up 2.
Yeah, I'm up 2. I'm gonna go ahead and go first on this one.
Go ahead.
All right. I did mine on Mark Margolis, who portrays Tio, Hector Salamanca.
Perfect, because I did Hector Salamanca, the character, last week. You're doing the actor. And what's his name? Margolis?
Yes.
Okay.
Mark Margolis. Okay. Mr. Mark had... Truth 1. Sorry. Fucking delirious. He had to be taught to imitate a believable Spanish accent for his role of Hector Salamanca.
Okay.
Truth 2. He used his mother-in-law, who could only talk out of one side of her mouth, to perfect Tio's mannerisms.
Can you type it out next week?
Yeah, that's
Good God
terrible.
Almighty.
I'm spraying in my face.
Okay.
Anyway, basically, his mother-in-law had a condition where she could only use half of her face.
All I heard was asterisks if you win. Keep going.
All right. He lost his only son at an early age to leukemia.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna say that that the first one is false.
That he had to be taught to imitate a believable Spanish accent is true.
Yeah,
What
nice.
do you mean? No, that's right. That's no true. It's a true statement. Your answer wasn't true.
Oh, what?
You saying false isn't true. Why would I word it like that?
I don't know. That's like the doctor coming in and I don't know. I feel like you fucked that up.
I did not.
That was terrible.
Whatever.
That was awful. Asterisks. I won't allow it.
Oh my god. Anyway, the lie in the 3 was that he lost his son to leukemia. He has a son, but he's
I almost went with that, and then I thought that that's really scuzzy.
And only an asshole would go there?
Yeah.
Didn't you learn
Slipping jibbies.
Yeah, I did that with Mike and his cancer. Remember I made that shit up too?
Yeah. I just thought, you know what, maybe he's reformed.
You should know after 27 years that I'm not going to reform?
That's true. You're not 27.
No, we've known each other for 27 years.
Well, that's just an arbitrary number because that's not true either.
Is it not?
No.
How's that not?
Oh,
met in elementary school.
I talked to you about this, about going down memory lane. Not the time, not the place. I won't allow it. So just let's go ahead and move on to mine, okay?
All right, let me become 3 up.
Hey, honestly, you probably will, because I make mine nice and easy, on the nose. I don't do anything sneaky. I don't trick the results at the end. But no, it's okay. I mean, you feel good about it when you're done. So even when you get the next terrible YouTube review, you'll feel insulated, because at least you're up in 2 truths, 1 big little lie. Truth 1! Oh, wait, no. I did mine on Mike Ehrmantraut, the actual, the character, not the actor who plays him. Okay?
Oh, you're going to let me speak now? Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay. All right, truth 1. Mike was a Marine sniper in the Vietnam War. Truth 2. Mike has 11 on-screen murders between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And truth 3. Mike has 4 different cars throughout both shows, all of which are Chryslers.
I'm thinking that 1 is a lie.
Mike was a Marine sniper in the Vietnam War.
Right.
Mike was a Marine sniper in the Vietnam War.
Really?
Yes. He also has 11 on-screen murders between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul so far. Mike does have 4 different cars, but only one of them was a Chrysler. The other 3 were all Buicks.
Nice.
Yeah, so... All right, so still 2. Still 2.
Yeah.
Didn't move the needle. Okay, let's throw over to Blue Apron ad, and then we will get back and talk about the explosive finale. And then also after that, I have an interview that I'm going to tease out here in a little bit too, or I guess I should have teased it out like 30 really fucking minutes ago.
I'm going to tease it and then tell you.
And one big
little lie.
Okay, so let's talk about the finale of this. I'm sorry, I guess the climax of the episode would be the better word for it, but it's pretty awesome. So Francesca gets Huel and he walks in, and Jimmy has the cell phone in his pocket and pulls it out, and Chuck's like, That's all right. Let me guess, Slippin' Jimmy. There's no battery in there, is there? Play acting. I knew it. I told you. I could spot it all along.
I actually love how it even started out, because I mean, obviously you knew there was going to be some kind of sleight of hand, Slippin' Jimmy action, but you don't really know what it is. And at first, you know, when he said, "Oh, I left mine in the car," of course you're thinking, "Oh, he's gonna have it in his pocket and see if he notices how close it is to him."
I thought that he was gonna call it at first, and so I wasn't thinking in terms of exactly how sneaky and well planned out and calculated
exactly.
this was.
I thought. Well, my initial thinking was that he did have it in his pocket, and he kept looking back at Francesca, and she was gonna call, you know, step outside and call his phone so that it's ringing, like silently ringing, to where it's really emitting tons of shit.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
But I was actually really happy that it wasn't that, because that's really, I mean, anybody could have done that. And Chuck, like he did, would have spotted it a mile away.
Agreed.
So I love that the battery wasn't in there, and everything, it was just like a fucking chess match.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
Perfect chess match.
Yeah, with him basically finally with the checkmate of go ahead and check in your pocket, and Chuck feels in there, and Jimmy explains the whole thing. Chuck felt nothing about it, and then Chuck's like, "I'm not crazy. This Slippin' Jimmy, you know, in the cash register, and oh man, if only everybody thought that you were so good even when you were a kid," and like just basically going off, and everybody's
as he's
like,
putting on his tinfoil hat.
Yeah, and it's just fucking crickets in the courtroom as everybody's watching, like super awkward. The panel's literally looking at him like with concern.
Yeah, it's like you need to be checked into a hospital.
Yes, somebody put a straight jacket on him right now.
Exactly. It was just so perfect. I mean, I was fucking cheering.
The reason it was so perfect was because the way that this all started was Chuck provoking Jimmy into exactly what he ended up doing, which is, well, I guess he pretends that he provoked him into saying everything on the tape recorder, but maybe he actually did provoke him into that. But then provokes him basically again with all the stuff with Ernesto and things like that to come back, and what all this led to is him provoking Jimmy.
Exactly.
And now Jimmy, to put the fucking kibosh on the whole thing, has provoked Chuck to just fucking embarrass the shit out of himself, question everything about what's happened with his life.
Sully, the fucking name of the law firm now too, which Hamlin was
the
trying
PR
to fucking avoid. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, because he sounds like a fucking nut job, and I love that. That's where Jimmy rests, and then the scene ends with the camera next to the exit sign, humming quietly, looking out at the courtroom where everybody's just sitting there awkwardly. In the teaser for next week, someone actually says, it literally ends with Saul Goodman.
Wait, what?
Like somebody says it in the next episode. That's what, like the screen goes black and somebody says Saul Goodman.
Before the credits?
No. For the teaser for next episode.
Okay. See, I was watching on the app and I didn't get that. So
gotcha. The app fucking blows.
Don't even get me started on that shit.
Yeah, okay. So, man.
So they did? Somebody says Saul Goodman? Oh, that makes me so fucking happy. Yes, finally.
But by the way, the AMC one compared to the FX one, playing them online, I'm saying on their websites, FX's is so much better because it allows...
FX have?
Yeah, FX you can watch on their website.
Really?
Yeah. And
why would that be?
I don't even think that I had to sign in. To be totally honest, today when I watched it, I had to watch a T-Mobile ad, an interactive one for a minute, and zero commercials.
You're talking about watching Fargo.
Yeah, but that is what I'm talking about. But I'm saying the difference between that and AMC.
They don't play Better Call Saul on FX.
No.
Okay, that's why I was so confused.
No. I'm just likening the two experiences of watching them online together.
I get you.
But okay, real quick, I want to throw over. I guess this is where I tease it out. Okay, so I have David from Tales from a Fandom. I introduce him here in a second anyway, so I'll kick over to it. But a really great interview, really cool dude. So here he comes.
Player 3 has entered the game.
So tonight I am joined by David Ginsburg, host of the podcast Tales from the Fandom, here to discuss episode 5 of Better Call Saul. What's going on, David?
Not much. I got to watch Better Call Saul today and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I literally just finished it before we're starting this interview, so I'm excited to see what you think. Let's hop right into it. This season overall, what do you think of it so far?
It's really good. I'm really enjoying the greater involvement with Gus Fring and Ehrmantraut, and I really love their storylines more so than the brother storylines with Saul and his brother. But it's definitely, I really enjoyed this episode more so than some of the other ones because this really was the cherry on the top of the proverbial like sundae of getting to see his brother take that big fall.
Well, yeah, and this is what it's all been leading up to. So I know what you mean, and I totally agree that I also prefer the Mike, and especially now with Gus being part of that plot line, I prefer that entire thing as opposed to this. But you're right, this episode was really like the pimple being popped. You know what I mean? Like it had reached a head, and we finally got to see what it was all leading up to. And what it was leading up to really was Jimmy provoking Chuck into losing his cool to reveal like his true intent, exactly like Chuck had done to Jimmy and provoking him into making the recording, you know?
Exactly. And not only that, but I mean, he did it in such a way he didn't want to do it. His hand was pretty much forced at that point, and he just had to take that lowest road to just show that it wasn't really just him. Like, I mean, his brother is not the nicest guy.
No, Chuck fucking sucks. Fuck Chuck is basically like our mantra on the podcast. Cannot stand him. But what did you think in that scene of Huel Babineau making his triumphant return to the installment in such a pivotal role and moment?
Oh, I loved Huel. I mean, I always talk on my podcast. I like the side characters or the background characters a lot. And, you know, when he is Saul, when he's not Jimmy, when he's Saul in Breaking Bad, he's got his little cast of characters around. And Huel was one of those that I really just enjoyed every time he was on the screen. So it was great to see him back. It was great to see, like, when Jimmy was talking to the veterinarian and was like, I need somebody with a light touch. And the response was, does he need to fit into any small spaces? Is like, no. And I knew, I was like, oh, please let it be Huel coming in.
I can't wait till we see Huel get matched up again with old freckle tits Bill Burr. So we talked a little bit about that scene, but just in general, like this episode versus the whole season as a whole, what do you think?
I think at least with this storyline, we're finally getting the payoff where it is really almost akin to like shows like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, where they're setting up the pieces in each episode, and you're constantly wondering, what's the payoff going to be? What's this plot line going to end up with? And we finally got it on this one, and it made it all the more worthwhile. And I almost want to go back to the first episode of the season and just watch it all again now knowing what happened in this episode.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way again, because it was all leading up to this. I'm always curious to see what people think that are fans of both this and Breaking Bad. I'm assuming you've watched Breaking Bad.
I have. I binged it on Netflix.
Same here. Same with pretty much everybody probably at some point. But and I doubt that there's many people out there that are watching Breaking Bad that have never seen, nor do they care to see Breaking Bad. Like, if you're watching Better Call Saul, then you clearly have seen Breaking Bad. But I'm always curious to see what people think about the pace is so much different on this show, because it is like a continuously quickening and frenetic pace on Breaking Bad, whereas Better Call Saul is a lot more methodical, sort of slow grind.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, of the two shows, I find myself more geared towards or gravitate towards Better Call Saul.
Really? Wow, that's a hot take.
More than Breaking Bad, because I just think it's got there's something about it where it just grabs you, and I think it might be just the multiple different storylines, and there's a lot of characters on Breaking Bad that I didn't like, and when their storylines would come up, I'd kind of tune out.
I'm really let me ask you then, who I'm really curious who you didn't particularly love on Breaking Bad. Like, I know characters like Lydia for me did nothing for me, but like, who for you did you not like?
Again, I didn't like Lydia and that whole storyline that was going on there, and then I didn't like a lot of the DEA stuff, and eventually it had to come to a head at a certain point, but I was kind of tired at certain points with just, will they go for him? Will they not go for him? What's going to happen? And a lot of I think there's a lot of drag during those storylines, especially with the car wash business and certain elements. It kind of just dragged me down, and I would rather have watched things like Gus Fring or certain other characters that had shown up in that series.
That's interesting. All right, well, I mean, I can't argue with that. I fully disagree, but I will not argue with that. You are a guest on the podcast after all. Speaking of which, I would love to hear you talk a little bit more about yours. I've actually listened to a few episodes. I'm really interested, particularly when you have people on for the cosplay stuff. Why don't you describe real quick to the listeners what Tales from the Fandom is all about?
Well, Tales from the Fandom is actually about to hit its 1-year anniversary next month.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. It is basically a weekly podcast where I have a different guest come on each week, and I talk to them about the fandoms that they love. Sometimes we share the same fandoms, and sometimes we don't. And I have a lot of people that are into maybe TV shows or anime, movies that I've not seen, so they kind of educate me. But it's very much if you liked Harry Potter, for example, we would talk about what house you're in or what characters you like, what books you liked, and just kind of riff on that. Each episode's generally about an hour. I do have a lot of cosplayers on. How
do you find your guests?
I find them through Instagram is a huge resource for me, because if they're cosplaying already, they're bound to like the things that they're dressing up as, the characters.
Very few people are cosplaying and just walking around their house and then taking it off, eating a bowl of ice cream and going to bed.
Exactly. So that was a great resource. Facebook was another one. And then if I was really interested in certain people, like I've had on 2 or 3 different authors. I've had on Kevin Hearn, who wrote the Iron Druid Chronicles and the Heir to the Jedi book that focused on Luke Skywalker. I had on Matt Forbeck, who's done some role-playing games and some Dungeons and Dragons novels in his own work. So I just kind of bounce around with whoever I can get and just go from there, really.
Well, that is awesome. And again, congratulations on coming up on your 1-year anniversary. How many episodes do you have out?
Officially, I think we are, I can tell you in just a moment.
There you go. And keeping in mind, guys, that he didn't cheat to get those numbers like I did by bringing on a shitload of other co-hosts to run their own shows on here. This is just him doing these episodes.
It is just me. On the year anniversary, we'll have had 59 official numbered episodes, but then I also do anniversary episodes like Buffy the Vampire Slayer's 20th anniversary was in March. Star Wars' 40th anniversary is this month. Or I do movie reviews like Beauty and the Beast and Doctor Strange, Rogue One. So those are kind of extra episodes, but my numbered episodes, I'll have 59 by the June 6th.
Well, that's fucking rad. Well, David, it was a pleasure having you on. I really appreciate it, particularly the hot take about not liking the DEA agents and everything in Breaking Bad as much as Better Call Saul. That is really against the grain. My co-host Jables is just always sitting there sucking on the dicks of the creators, like never has anything negative to say. So I just really appreciate you going against the current on this one.
Oh, it's not a problem. That's kind of what I do sometimes.
I basically just said that, by the way, to see if he'll actually listen to the interview when I send it to him, or if he's going to be surprised by it when I throw it into the episode the next day. So, Jables, suck a dick. David, thank you very much for coming on, man.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Player 3 has left the game.
And there he goes.
Here he comes. There he goes. That was very funny.
Very informative. Sorry about the terrible lead-in.
Yeah, that was awful. I'm so sorry, David. And thank you for saying all those nice things about Jables at the end. Don't you think it was nice of him to say all those nice things about you?
I think it's warranted.
And all the props that I gave you at the end, too?
Always.
Okay.
I come to expect those daily. My daily Foxman affirmations.
Okay, so anyway, we've talked about the episode. Is there anything else that you want to add before we kick it with the Tasty Groove?
We have a Patreon page.
Okay, that is true. We do have a Patreon page. Thank you. I forgot to mention it off the top. We don't use it at all to line our pockets. It's strictly just for equipment, for exposure for the podcast. It all goes back into the podcast.
Blanket forts.
Blanket forts, yeah.
Band stands.
Yeah, I do have a really sweet music sheet stand that is propping up basically like a note card that is 1/100th the area size of it.
It is comically small.
But anyway, okay, so that is the episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you next week. Jables just spilled ink all the fuck over himself, so let's go clean that up. Jables, will you tie a bow on this bitch?
See you next time, little buddies.